Guatemala is distinguished by its cultural richness and diversity, composed by 25 linguistic communities and 4 ethnic backgrounds. With a national GDP of over $37 billion in 2010, the Guatemalan economy is the largest in Central America, although with profound socioeconomic inequalities based on gender and ethnicity. Half of its population lives in poverty, which entails almost 3/4 of the indigenous population and 70% of rural people. Women's economic participation has steadily increased since the last 2 decades, resulting from the economic and trade liberalization policy. However, women's economic autonomy is still limited by persistent gender and ethnicity-based gaps. To cope with the effects of economic crisis and its effect on their living environments, women undertake more remunerated work or non-remunerated work, mostly in the reproductive sphere, paid, unpaid domestic and care activities, as a result of marked social and gender stereotypes which hamper their access to full development and opportunities. Rural and indigenous women have less access to land, credit, and technology. Evidence shows that women resort to alternative financing sources at the local level, such as communal, cooperative banks, and other official programs to support the micro and small enterprises. Between 2001 and 2007, women's use of microcredits to fund activities related to light industry, trade, repair, or financing of housing and agricultural and forestry activities increased from 63.6% to 82%, especially in rural areas. The 36 years of internal conflict profoundly affected women's lives. The Guatemalan Commission of Historical Clarification found sexual violence against women, mainly indigenous from Mayan origin, to be widespread, with under registration of cases as only 285 could be documented. Further investigations led by women survivors and human rights defenders showed that sexual crimes against women and girls were systematically perpetrated with total impunity before, during, and after massacres. These groups have invested in the recovery of their historical memory, generating valuable knowledge, tools, and methodologies to address sexual violence, to transform the painful experiences into powerful tools to break impunity. After more than 30 years, one of their cases has reached the prosecutor's office for legal redress.
La etapa post-conflicto ha sido extremadamente compleja en Guatemala. Hemos tenido avances en términos de creación de institucionalidad y legislación en favor de los derechos humanos de las mujeres, pero al mismo tiempo hemos tenido una realidad muy difícil, un contexto que ha favorecido el incremento de la violencia contra las mujeres, particularmente durante los últimos 10 años, por medio del feminicidio, la violencia sexual y la trata de personas.
With the signing of the agreements for a firm and lasting peace in 1996, Guatemala established the roadmap for structural, social, institutional, political, economical, and cultural changes and transformations. As signature of international human rights commitments, Guatemala developed second-generation laws on ethnic and gender equality and established women mechanisms aimed to ensuring women's human rights, including specific mechanisms for indigenous women. Some progress has been made in securing the rule of law, yet the levels of violence grew rapidly during the last 10 years. The average of violent deaths of women stands at some 600 per year. With the recently created specialized justice courts in feminicide, a significant advance in women's access to justice is being achieved. In a society under transition from the armed conflict to peace, the strengthening of state institutions, particularly the justice system, is vital. UN Women in Guatemala is contributing to building national capacities, strengthening institutional responsibilities for formulating and implementing laws, policies, and programs with a gender and ethnic perspective, aimed at guaranteeing women's fundamental rights and advance to gender equality. It is also facilitating the dialogue between indigenous, non-indigenous, and women organizations. The UN and state institutions, knowledge production, and accountability process to guide and improve response to international commitments. The presence of the organization in Guatemala started in 1999 with UNIFEM projects up to 2007. In 2008, a project office was established, and with the creation of the new entity in 2010, a coordination mechanism within the UN system was introduced. The strength of UN Women's voice and response capacity requires the firm commitment to position the country office, support mobilization of resources, and securing its most valuable assets, its human capital. The UN Women team is strongly committed to women's rights and wants to express their pride to be part of this grand organization.
Estamos trabajando con mujeres muchos talleres de capacitación, principalmente aquellos policías que contestan a las líneas de emergencia, enseñándoles cómo hacerlo, cómo reaccionar inmediatamente, porque realmente son vidas las que vamos a salvar. Y en eso nos apoya en las capacitaciones que damos también a jueces, a fiscales, etcétera, ¿no? Con ese acompañamiento que nos dan. Ahorita pues nos ha apoyado mucho en las reuniones de la instancia multisectorial por la vida y la seguridad de las mujeres, que es una instancia donde convergen 31 instituciones, tanto de la sociedad civil como del Estado, y en la que pues todos estamos viendo el día a día qué está pasando y cómo podemos ir respaldando programas, iniciativas de otras instituciones para unirnos y poder trabajar. En eso Mujeres nos da todo el acompañamiento y bueno, nuestras expectativas es que sigan apoyándonos principalmente en nuestras visitas a áreas rojas, a lugares violentos donde estamos tratando de tener un contacto con toda la población.
Y queremos mencionar cuánto ha sido importante también la alianza de ONU Mujeres en fortalecer esa participación política de las mujeres desde lo local, regional y nacional. Creemos importante estos avances que se ha dado porque las mujeres desde el área rural están incidiendo en los comités cívicos, en las juntas escolares, pero también están incidiendo en las municipalidades. Entonces nosotros vemos importante porque es la naturaleza de Moloch y es la misión y visión de Moloch de fortalecer esa participación política de mujeres.
Sí. Es importante reconocer que la asignación de una representación residente en Guatemala por parte de ONU Mujeres ha generado grandes expectativas y grandes esperanzas en la comunidad organizada, en las organizaciones de mujeres, en las instituciones del Estado. Porque si bien desde todo el sistema, todas las agencias tenemos un mandato de acompañar el desarrollo de las mujeres, dada la situación en Guatemala, tener una agencia cuyo mandato central y específico sea promover el adelanto de las mujeres, claramente es vista por toda la sociedad guatemalteca como una oportunidad.
Hoy al secretario de Naciones Unidas y le podemos decir a la expresidenta Michelle Bachelet que Guatemala está por supuesto comprometida con la campaña que se está haciendo a nivel mundial en contra de la violencia que sufren hoy las mujeres. Y esto lo digo en nombre del presidente y lo digo también en nombre de la vicepresidenta, que es una mujer.